This is the Aflac Insurance Syracuse Legend Show, talking to the biggest names in SU sports history, broadcasting in the ESPN studios and presented by SummitCars.com. Here's your host, Mike Bristol.
All right, here we are, Syracuse Legend Show. A great show for you this week. We've got terrific guests, and we're going to kind of crank things out here in about a half an hour as we had a special edition of Inside High School Sports that went a little bit longer. Here we did a 90-minute show with some great guests. But this week we've got Preston Shumpert's going to come on, chat a little bit with Shump, my good buddy. We're going to talk to Adrian Autry. We're going to get Alan Griffin on in a quick couple of minutes with Billy Owen. So that'll be happening here in this packed 30 minutes. We're going to take a quick break. We get back, start things off with Preston Shumpert. All right, Syracuse Legend Show, ESPN Radio, 97.7 and 100.1.
This is the Aflac Insurance Syracuse Legend Show, talking to the biggest names in SU sports history, broadcasting in the ESPN studios and presented by SummitCars.com. Here's your host, Mike Bristol.
You know, does it get any better when I got a guy from Hoosier Country and Preston Shumpert on the show?
Yes, sir.
Hoosier Country.
What's going on?
How cool is that?
What's going on, Mike?
How was Hoosier Country when you're growing up, or a little bit, a few years ago?
Hoosier Country. Basketball court every driveway, obviously.
Yeah.
And, you know, just it's in the blood. You know what I mean? Just basketball is a big thing out there. Always has been, for, you know, as long as I remember, and always probably will be.
What was the high school basketball scene like in Florida?
Actually, I mean, it was very competitive, very athletic. I mean, there was a lot of guys. You know, you always get guys that play different sports, play basketball, end up playing basketball. They're pretty good athletes. They're not necessarily good basketball players, but they had a good combination of guys that could play basketball and played other sports that were pretty good at basketball, but definitely high-level athletes.
You know, I always heard Florida had some ridiculous outdoor runs and summer leagues and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember being in a Florida State team camp and going down and playing. I remember a guy literally, we're playing in a game. I forgot what team it was. A guy literally stepped on a guy's chest on my team, like stepped on his chest and like dunked the ball in the game. We were like, that's different. But you know, I think the guy took the charge, so we got that. We count that. We discredited that bastard, so he took the charge. But yeah, it's one of those ones where you like get caught, like, oh, it's a charge, but man, that was pretty impressive. You know,
and you always hear about Rucker Park and hear about Park 4-4 and all that kind of stuff. But I just heard that Florida had ridiculous type. I mean, who were some of the guys you played against?
Teddy Dupay, they went to Florida.
Yep.
Udonis Haslam. A couple other guys that, you know, were really good high school players that, you know, they didn't really play too much in you know, at the next level. Reggie Evans, I played against Reggie Evans for years in high school. They would bet him all the time. Probably some other kids that, you know, were young at the time and probably developed and got better. But man, it was fierce competition, man. It was big time athletes. It was good basketball.
You picked Syracuse. Who else was in the mix?
My last schools came out of Villanova, UConn, Syracuse, all Big East schools, all Big East. I took a visit to Indiana, but yeah, all Big East schools when it came right down to it. Actually, I'm on a recruiting trip. I'm with my son now at Adidas camps and AAU, and I'm running into coaches that recruited me at these different colleges. You know, at Villanova, and now he was at Villanova, and now he's at a different college, and I'm like, wow, he's still, you know, obviously still working here. That's their profession. They love to do it, but recruited me to go to college. Now they're recruiting kids to go to, you know, other kids to go to college. I ran out on them, ran into them, you know, out and about at, you know, the various AAU functions or whatever. But
what was this? Who was second in your eyes besides Syracuse? Who was that one that
Connecticut? It was either going to be Syracuse, Connecticut, in that order. Syracuse, Connecticut, Villanova.
And what was the pushover with Cuse? What kind of got you?
I just felt, you know, I remember just watching Syracuse, you know, in 12 o'clock games on a Saturday at home. Because then, I mean, you know, football was everything when I was young.
Right.
That was my first sport, but whatever. Ended up playing basketball and seeing Syracuse on TV. And then when I came on a visit, it just came natural. You know, it just felt right. I went to other places, and Connecticut was great. Villanova was great. The places I went were great. Just Syracuse was it just felt like I was going to fit in there. I was going to have an opportunity to flourish. So, yeah, it worked out.
Freshman year, you didn't seem to have those freshman year scares at Syracuse. Why was that? Tell me about the maturity and being able to play right away.
Yeah, I think, you know, I definitely got to give credit to my older guys on my team. Blackwell's, Jason Hart's, Eton Thomas, these guys were like, these were for me, those were my old heads. You know what I mean? Those guys were showing me the ropes and showing me how to come every day to practice and giving me examples of what to do on practice, every day at practice and, every just day to day, living campus life and all that type of stuff, what to do and what not to do as well. So these guys, really gave me that mentoring thing that, you can't really put a price on. It kind of showed me the way to be and to act and how to, conduct myself as a player for Syracuse University. And after that, it was just more mental conditions I had from my high school coach, and it led me into believing that I had full belief in myself and confidence in myself to be able to come here and play and give something to the team.
Did you like that role too, of maybe not the pressure of a starting five, but freshman, sophomore, the sixth man?
Some people, it's different now. A lot of guys are going into college like, I'm not going to go there unless I start. And that's fine. Some guys, they want to go there and experience that, and they think they're ready for that. For me, in that time, it just wasn't like that. You know what I mean? The times were just different. You didn't go anywhere major D1 and you'd go right in as a freshman and play. You just didn't. Let alone Big East, we're super physical guys. It's a really good league. And I was fine with it. I knew that I'd get my time to play. I had to be ready when I got my time and be effective. And sometimes I wouldn't get, some games I wouldn't get as much looks as I wanted to. But I knew if I got in, I was effective, able to make shots. You're able to stay in longer, you play longer, you put more. You have a chance to be more effective.
Talking to Preston Shumpert, our upstate interview of the week here. You're a senior. At the time, you're setting some significant 3-point shooting records. You're a 3-point guy. You're a long range guy. Talk about shooting the ball.
Reps. Number one thing is reps, man. I don't care what you do. If you want to be great at anything, you got to do it a lot. And I mean a lot, and under duress. There's so many guys that, kids that I see, even today, they're shooting, but they're not really shooting with game speed or game mentality. And that thing goes back to, visualizing yourself in the gym, visualizing yourself in a game, important game, and shooting with speed. I mean, it's definitely a mindset you got to have. I mean, it's almost, the mindset where I'm going to shoot until I make it or shoot till I miss. You know what I mean? Luckily, you get enough time to play where you can shoot till you make it. If you keep missing, you don't get to play that much. But it's definitely a mindset, man, about pushing forward and, just having that utmost confidence in yourself to, you can miss 2 or 3 shots in a row, but I can also make the next 3 in a row, 4 in a row, 5 in a row. And that's just, the confidence came from just, I knew all the time I put into it, it wouldn't go for, wouldn't be account for nothing, you know what I mean?
How do you mimic, though? I mean, listen, I'll go and shoot around, and we fart around, we play this and that, but to mimic game time experience and shooting game time experience and get those reps in, how do you do it? I know you're a coach. I know you're coaching kids now. I know you're doing a bunch of stuff. How do you truly mimic that in-game experience?
You can't necessarily. Right. You can't. I mean, honestly speaking, you can't mimic yourself in the garden last 2 minutes of the game. You do it as a kid, and it feels great in your mind to do it as a kid. Millions of kids do it, and people have done it all. When you're a kid, I'm 2-1, and you shoot, and you make it, and the crowd goes crazy. And but you can't really mimic it. You can try your best ability to visualize it, but I think it's more about just the focus it takes to do it and the reps, man. I think the reps of doing it the right way, just hours and hours and hours when you didn't feel like doing it, that's when it comes back to play. When you're actually in the situation, you feel like you've done it at that speed millions of times before, so this is just 1,000,001.
Your work ethic in college had to separate you from a lot of the guys who kind of want to go out and do their partying and doing their stuff, this and that. But here you are putting in reps, putting in the time over and over and over again. Yeah. Did the rest of the team do that, or did you separate yourself a bit?
It was always known that after Ryan and Jay Hart, Ryan Blackwell, Jay Hart,
Jay's
Tom,
one
these
of
guys, these guys stayed after and put their work in after, and that's what I meant by these guys kind of showed me the way to how to get better and be effective and showed me the path. I had a great work ethic from high school because my high school coach was a little nuts. He was borderline crazy as far as just wearing us out and staying on us mentally. And so I had that develop at an early age, and then going to college, it just carried over. I knew how great I wanted to be, and I knew that again, if you want to be great at anything, what do you got to do? You got to spend time at it. I don't care if it's the piano, the trumpet, the soccer field, baseball. You got to spend your time at it, and it takes a lot of time. Preston
and Peyton playing quite well at JD. Talk about the boys.
Yeah, they're doing good, man. They're just getting ready to play the Tuesday night sectional game. They had a good year this year. Lost a couple of games, but it's okay. I mean, I'd much rather lose some. You learn more from losing sometimes than you do from winning. So they've learned a lot, and I'm happy where they're at right now. And they got a lot more work to do, and they're not satisfied. So that's a good thing. And every time I go to a game, I'm like, this game I'm going to be quiet. I'm just going to sit back and relax and just watch. I never do.
Yeah.
Mike, I never do. I hoop and holler or something. Take their attention. I should probably sit outside and watch it on TV, but I go on the experience. I gotta be there. I gotta be there. Yep, absolutely. So I'm proud of them, man.
What do you see in yourself in both of them? What do you not see in yourself in both of them?
I just think we go back to the just being a different age where when you go out and play, it's just like a not like a necessity, maybe a loss for a word, but it was like that was their lifestyle is basketball. But every single time we went to the court, we were going to prove haters wrong, prove doubters wrong. Yeah. I don't, if everybody in the gym thought you were great, well, we would think about someone over 2 towns over that thought I was terrible. So what I mean? Everything was always about always constantly proving yourself. Always fighting the odds and, going against, me against the world type of mentality. I think that's just where their mentality is a little different. They work hard, they play hard, they want to be great. It's just every single day, every single minute was that type of thing as far as, I want to prove the next person wrong. Yeah. Searching for people that have doubt in me. I want to prove them and make them think that, man, he is a good player. But I think that's part of the mentality, but it's not their fault. It's just the products of their environment. I think how we're likewise is shooting ability. They've dedicated their time to shooting, and it's been their lifestyle, so they've kind of grown up in it. I played sports and played basketball since I was a young kid, and they have too, much like a lot of kids, but they've been around it a lot. You know what I mean? When I played overseas, they were in gyms with me. They were at games. They were in the locker room. Yeah. So it just kind of rubs off on you. It's different when you enjoy doing it, and it's different when it's your lifestyle.
The wonderful Preston Shumpert. It reminds me of the time you're talking about, like intensity, and back then. Yeah. It reminds me of that time when you were guarding me, and I did a little crossover on you, and you fell back on your butt, and I stepped on your chest, and I dunked the ball.
I had the flu that day. I shouldn't have been on the court, but you know what? I'll do anything for my buddies.
All right, I love you. Go do your thing. I appreciate the great Preston Shumpert on the program. Thanks, Shump.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
Yep. Yes.
Shump on the show. We'll be right back. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1.
This is the Aflac Insurance Syracuse Legend Show, talking to the biggest names in SU sports history, broadcasting in the ESPN studios, and presented by SummitCars.com. Here's your host, Mike Bristol.
Does it get any better when you get the great Adrian Autry on the show and the great guards at Syracuse basketball? Red, what's going on, pal?
What's going on, man? Just getting ready for a game today, man.
All right, let's talk about big game time. What needs to happen?
Well, we got to play a little bit better on the offensive end, defensively, tighten things up, locate their main guys, Alvarado, and he's the one that kind of makes them go. He's the guy that kind of gets everybody going. The big kid Banks, defensive guy, shot blocker, so keep him off the glass and play good basketball, and try to get out and get some easy scoring opportunities if we can.
Have you found yourself teaching the same stuff repeatedly this season, or has there been more of a teaching aspect to the game this season?
I think, every year is different. Every team is different. Obviously we struggle. Every team has their struggles, and you got to kind of work on those things a little bit more. I think this year, obviously, us being young and new guys stepping into new roles, probably been a little bit more teaching than the past years, because you bring back a veteran group. This year is a new group, a lot of young guys and guys stepping into different positions and different roles. So probably more teaching, just to say.
All right, our good buddy Adrian Autry, I got to get back to your equal days, Talentine in the Bronx. Who was your biggest rival at that point when you were playing?
The whole Catholic school league at that time was really, really good. But the team with the beat was Archbishop Malloy, who had Kenny Anderson and a guy named Rob Wardan and some other guys, and then Christ the King. So each year it kind of rotated. But the whole Catholic league back then, everybody was so good. Cardinal Hayes, O'Hallows, you name it. Even the public schools were really, really good at the time. So Adlai Stevenson had a really good team in Lincoln with the Marbury brothers. So basketball back then, both leagues were really competitive.
You were 11 when Pearl came to Cuse. Was his presence a big factor in drawing you to the Orange and ultimately signing with Cuse?
I think any New York City guard that was around my age coming up, the Pearl was definitely, a big reason. He put, in New York City, he put the Cuse on the map and the Dome on the map. It's a great venue with a great player. He played an exciting brand, a New York City style brand of basketball. So I think most New York City, guards that came up after him, knew about the Cuse and probably had him on their recruiting list coming out.
No question. Coleman, Owens, Douglas, Cycli, these guys, great freshman success when they came and played. You had the same sort of immediate success, 90 to 91. Did those guys inspire you? You came right in, ready to play.
I think they that was the one thing that you knew about Syracuse is that back then Coach Boeheim if you were good enough, it didn't matter what year you was, he was going to let you play. And back then you didn't really see a lot of freshmen having success. Very few came in and had a chance to play a lot of significant minutes back then. So Coach was the one I thought that was a big appeal and draw to me that if I was good enough and I was ready that he was going to let me play. So that was definitely a big appeal and draw, and I had seen it, so he didn't have to tell me. I had seen it, through the Shermans and the Billies and the Derricks. So that opportunity to play as a freshman, and if you were good enough, definitely was appealing.
I just had Shump on real quick. Trey, obviously playing alongside with Shump's boys. Talk about the boys working together.
It's really fun. Having me and Press and having our relationship, and the boys really getting along, and his boys are obviously a little older, and they've done a phenomenal job of leading Trey and showing him the way. And both really good basketball players. They'll both be Division I players, and kind of setting that example for Trey. And so when it's his time to have the mantle, he'll know how to lead and stuff like that. So it's really fun and exciting.
All right, the great Adrian Autry. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it, pal.
No problem, my man. Take care.
All right, Adrian Autry, ladies and gentlemen, here on the program. We'll be right back. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1.
This is the Aflac Insurance Syracuse Legend Show, talking to the biggest names in SU sports history, broadcasting in the ESPN studios, and presented by SummitCars.com. Here's your host, Mike Bristol.
Our good friend Alan Griffin here on the program. Just a couple minutes. Alan, you know what I forgot to ask you the last time we're going back through the Alan Griffin history of hoops? Was I forgot that your freshman year, you were on the cover of SI. Right? Yeah.
Oh, was it SI? I think.
You were on the cover. Your freshman year, you were on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
I got lucky.
I mean,
they needed somebody to fill a space, and they said, well, why not this guy?
Bro, did any of the guys say like, yo, why is this freshman on the cover and we're not?
Yeah, you know what? Nah, I mean those guys. When I came in, you had Todd Bergen, who played in the Final Four, so he had a lot of accolades. Yeah, I mean all those guys. Jason Hall was coming off a great freshman years. He was in the newspaper a lot, so those guys didn't care.
You had some, but think about the personalities on that team. You had obviously DC, the biggest of all. Sherman, who was kind of a quiet guy, but no question that Sherman had some significant attitude and personality.
Shit, Mike, I didn't play with those guys.
No. I'm talking about Syracuse history players.
Oh, history. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, Mike, you're aging me right now, like man. I don't like that.
Stevie Thompson, Mr. Alley-oop guy, all that kind of stuff. These guys all got their press, got their cover, got their SI stuff. And then Alan Griffin, his freshman year, gets on SI.
Yeah, I know, right? It's weird, but
I love it though.
Yeah. How's everything else going?
It's good. Talk to me about Cuse. Talk to me about today.
Today's going to be a game where we got to go out there and forget what happened the last couple of games and just focus on what we got to focus on and take it minute by minute and see where it takes us. Georgia Tech is playing really good. But in the losses that we've had, outside of Louisville, even in the Louisville game, we've played well and we've did a lot of good things. So we just got to go out there and continue to stick to the game plan and hopefully we can win by 1 point at the end.
I was doing some research on you again, and I was looking at the triple-double against Pitt you had in 2001. Then you had 31 in double overtime over St. John's MSG. We talked about the MSG game. We talked about St. John's. But having big numbers like that, games like that, overall in your entire career, what was the biggest? Was it MSG playing in front of the hometown and home crew?
Yeah, definitely. But you know what? But I think the one game that sticks out the most to me was my senior, the triple double, my senior day. It just kind of put my whole career in a nutshell in terms of, just doing something that, to be honest with you, not a lot of people can do, and it just showed that hard work and dedication kind of paid off. Like scoring 31 in the game, against St. John's, it was great. I scored more than half of them from the free throw line because they had to foul in certain situations. So, but not to take it away from I had a pretty good game. But I was one of those guys that always cared about just doing what the team needed at that moment. Like, I wasn't...
Well, that carried over because if you look at that mentality that you had, each of your SU teams reached the NCAAs twice to the Sweet 16 as well.
But yeah, definitely. And, the one thing I could pride myself on is having that success. Because not a lot of people, get to even play in the NCAA. And I went to the NCAA 4 times and the Sweet 16 twice. Yeah. So, very blessed with that. But again, one of the true blessings for me is that I was able to wear a lot of hats while here. I was a playmaker. I did some things defensively that coach liked. So defensively, I was out there when needed, and coach really relied on me and at times, and I was there for whatever he needed.
Last one. Everybody wants, the Cuse in the NCAA tournament. Everybody here pulling. What needs to happen?
We just got to win. You got to take one step at a time, Mike, and that's today. And that's the only thing that we got control over is what we do today, and we can't worry about 4 games down the line and the ACC tournament and all that stuff. We just got to take care of one game at a time, and it starts today. And if we can just focus on that and let everybody else predict and do all that other stuff, let them do that. We just got to, again, focus on what we got to focus on.
The great Alan Griffin. Thanks, Griff. I appreciate it, pal.
All right, no problem, Mike.
Talk to you later. Alan Griffin, ladies and gentlemen. And joining the likes of covers, as I mentioned, of guys like Stevie Thompson and Billy Owens and all these guys. So pretty awesome that he was on his freshman year. We're going to have to bounce. So it was a great show. We've got some spots to get in. Thanks to producers and to everybody here working throughout the radio station, and obviously to all the high school sports guests that were in here and to the guests that we just had today. We're going to get Billy Owens. I'm going to have to do it next week because I want to take about 20 minutes with Bill. So we'll be right back. Or we won't be right back. We'll see you next week. ESPN Radio, 97.7, 100.1. 97.7, 100.1. 97.7, 100.1.